And there we go. Hey guys, welcome to the Gorgias monthly product webinar and town hall. I'm Zach. I'm a product manager for the integrations team. With us, we have Romain. We like to kind of get the room sort of warmed up by everyone inputting, what company you're coming from, and then maybe one feature improvement that you really want to see in Gorgias. For context, we really do look through these and we use them as information to really help us make the right decision. So yeah, I'd love to hear what companies we have in here, what people are looking for, what features are on your guys, what features are sort of on your radar for the coming future. All right, let's see. We have Color Wow. We have Made the Label. Sorry, how do you pronounce it? Sanita Athletics, Evoke Winery, Monument Grills. Oh, let's see.
Cook's Venture.
Oh man, here we go.
Faster race weekend. Wow, that's it's starting to be tough to catch up with everyone. Nice. Lots of new brands we didn't know. Love seeing those.
Yeah, it's really cool to see so many people coming up on here. I saw one improvement I want to cover just before we get into everything. I saw the option to unsend, and we actually do have that feature right now. So if you send an email, what you'll see at the top of your page is a green notification saying that the message was sent, and there'll be a button for, I think, around 3 seconds to unsend. What we may need to do is extend that a little bit, extend that time frame so that you actually catch it. But we do offer that ability right now and can change that to be there.
Yeah, and I see another one on simple FAQ template linking with Gorgias to help support customers. And so actually we had a all hands yesterday with the whole company and to demo it. And so we have a first internal beta version. It still needs some polishing, so we're gonna work on this a little more. But that's also something that's in the works. And by the way, just to introduce myself, I'm Roman. I'm the CEO here at Gorgias. Really excited to hang out with you all during this webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. And a little bit of housekeeping before we really get started. One thing I really want to push for those who don't know already, we have this Google Calendar. This Google Calendar right here is going to have your access link to get into the webinar, because if you're automatically subscribing, you might notice that you're not getting emails from Livestorm. So this is going to have all that information that you're looking for. So I highly suggest taking this calendar and subscribing. Also, for those who have just signed up for a single event, I highly suggest subscribing for basically signing up for automatic registration. We'd love to see you guys here every week. Or every month rather. It's great to have people come, back again and again, because we cover a lot of things and to get a lot of feedback from you guys, and we take a lot from these webinars and put it into production. So really appreciate you guys showing up.
Nice. Thanks for the call to actions. And I see we have Thomas, head of product, who's helping us out on the chat to respond to everything. So yeah, I appreciate that, Thomas. There was a couple of other suggestions. So one was a way to differentiate between regular Instagram comments and DMs. So the icon is slightly different actually. So yeah, thanks for picking us on that. That may be not obvious enough. So we'll do a little bit of research. And then another one was to get statistics on agent productivity by hour. And so that's also something that we're looking into in terms of showing you what's the current performance of your team right now. So yeah, it's being worked on. So expect some updates, and then we'd love to get your feedback once it ships.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we have an announcement regarding Instagram DMs. For those who have been kind of keeping track, the way that Instagram's rolling out access is in a wave by wave strategy. And so what that looks like is basically they open up the API, so our ability to offer IG DMs based on follower counts. So we just got a notification earlier this month that if you are between 1,000 and 100,000 followers, you will have access to IGDMs to actually check and essentially, if you fall under that 1,000 to 10,000, which didn't have access before, what you need to do, I'll give you a quick little demo of just how to essentially double check if you have access to IGDMs. And the way you would do that is by clicking. So right now, if you have this screen, if you don't have the right follower count, you'll have this warning message that says you may not have access due to follower requirements. By clicking this reconnect button right here, it will essentially trigger our program to look and see, do you meet that follower requirement? So if you have the right number of followers, then, or rather, if you have between 1,000 and 10,000 followers, if you click this button, it'll change. And what it'll end up looking like is show this option as a toggleable Instagram DM option. And then you can save it and you'll have access to IGDMs. So that's just one small thing I wanted to cover before we sort of got in, because I know a lot of people are waiting for IGDMs. And so for those who have more than 100,000 followers, right now, the estimated date that we've been given by Instagram is the end of Q3. Again, that is an estimated date. It can change. It could be sooner or later. It just depends on Instagram's plan and their ability to essentially scale up their platform. We are working as hard as we can to get that push to everyone. But in the end of the day, this is an Instagram requirement rather, and it's not something we have a ton of flexibility on. All righty. So to get started, I wanted to cover again some upcoming features, some things that we have on our plate for this coming quarter. One big request we've had is Twitter, and I wanted to tell you guys that we are working on a Twitter integration, and we actually have a beta, or not even a beta, a working sort of demo that I wanted to show off to you guys. So right now, what we can do is essentially create tickets and reply to tickets from Instagram responses. So in theory, this account is integrated with a Gorgias account. So this is, company A, and I am customer 1. And so there's a tweet. I go on to the Twitter and tweet a reply. So I say, I love your products. And you click reply. And what you'll see in 1 second is that we now have a tweet and a subsequent response. So this was my account that I just tweeted to. This was the original tweet. And what I can do is actually respond back. So I can say, that's great to hear. Click send. And if I go back onto Twitter and click this individual thing, what you'll see is that a response has been added. So what is going to be added to this as well, as we're sort of working through this new product, is that we're going to be adding also support for Twitter mentions. So if I am a customer and I tweet at your company, so I say at Zach Company, I had a bad experience with XYZ product, then that will create a ticket regardless of whether they tweeted that just to their friend, or rather if they just tweeted that kind of out into the sphere, or if they replied to a tweet. We'll also cover quote tweets as well. So if somebody basically takes your message and essentially retweets it out to their public with their own message, you'll see that as a ticket as well. And so we're building on top of that, and we're going to be hopefully rolling out the Instagram integration over the early parts of this quarter. We're really, really excited about Twitter because I know that's a huge area of social media support. So I just wanted to show you guys that this is in progress. It's something we're really excited about. And yeah, we're looking forward to moving that Twitter into production. All righty.
All right, cool. Thanks, Zach, for the update on that front. All right, so now let's just talk about the native phone, which we shipped a couple of months ago. So we have a V1 going on right now. I think what has been really interesting about this V1 is we find that most of the customers that use the phone use it primarily to receive voicemails from customers, and then they tend to switch channels and send out an email or something on another channel to customers. So it's been pretty interesting to observe that use case and learn what you guys are doing. So with that being said, yeah, what we are going to do is roll out a new version of a phone system with some of the most requested features. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So number one, there's going to be call recordings. So you're going to be able to either press a button to start the recording of a call or to automatically start recording calls. So something that's coming out this quarter. And then the recording will display in the ticket, just like voicemail do today. So you can actually like click play and start playing the recording of the call, so you can have some context on what's going on. So that's number one, call recording. Number two, and I think that's the most requested feature on the phone. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so you guys should be able to see my screen. So one of the highly requested features is to make an outbound call to customers. And so the way to do this in the new version that's coming in a few weeks is to create a ticket. And then there's going to be a drop down to place an outbound call right here. And from there, I can search my customers and say, hey, I want to call Jacqueline. So I would click on this and then start call. And that's going to trigger a call. And then I'm on the phone with her right away. So that's the first way to trigger a call. Then we have another way. So same screen is that instead of typing the name of the customer, you can also just type a phone number. So this will serve as a dial pad where you just type in the phone number of the customer, start a call, and then same story here. You're on the phone with the customer, and that creates a ticket right away. Sarah Hoffman is asking, any plans for phone app in the future? So curious to know what you mean. Like the whole goal here is to use the help desk as through the browser as the primary app you use. Maybe if you're talking about mobile, curious to hear your thoughts on that. We're also thinking about transferring phone calls to mobile lines. So yeah, would love to hear more. Just on that topic of outbound calls, the last way to start a call is simply to click on the customer profile. So that's what I'm doing right here. You just click on the number and then that starts a call. That's probably the most intuitive one. And so that's going to call the customer right away. So yeah, second feature that's coming out on the phone. Yeah, the last one that's also very popular is IVR. So essentially what IVR means is to have a welcome message where you say, hey, customer, thanks for calling in. What do you want to do? Press 1 for reaching out to this person, press 2 for X, press 3 for Y. And so that's going to enable you to triage customers. So an example would be to pass the warehouse call to the warehouse, pass the store call to the store, and so forth. So yeah, we're pretty excited about these changes. So yeah, those are things that are in the works right now that we are going to progressively roll out throughout Q3. So if you have any questions on the phone, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat like some of you did. So yeah, we're really excited about this new version. Yeah, just tackling a quick question from Camilo Lopez about WhatsApp. We're actually looking into three different ways to integrate with WhatsApp. So we're exploring like different routes at the same time. So either a direct integration with them or something through Twilio or something through a third-party partner. So yeah, we're knocking on all doors. We'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, that's definitely, I think, in the top 3 of requests. So yeah, that's on our radar.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other question that just came up was there was a question about porting. So porting is something that we are actually refining right now. For those of you who've ported in the past, I'm sure you know it's a pretty grueling process and it's very manual. We just ported our first set of a few numbers over actually last week. So now what we're doing is slowly rolling out a more refined process and are opening it up to more and more people. We're starting just with 10 customers who specifically people who have been in communication with their CSMs and expressed a ton of interest about porting numbers over into Gorgias. So if you are interested in porting and you have a CSM, please reach out to them. We're still collecting names and sort of moving forward on that process. We haven't totally opened the floodgates yet because we want to make sure that we can essentially handle that process and don't make it any more miserable than it needs to be for everyone who has to do it. Because porting, I'm sure, as you guys know, can be a little bit. It's a tough process and it requires a good amount of work. So we want to make sure we have our processes set internally, so you can just give us the information and then not have to deal with it beyond that. So we're still working on that, but it is coming throughout this quarter, and we're going to be opening it up kind of more and more to larger and larger groups of people as it sort of becomes more built into a process. All righty. Let's see. I want to make sure, see if there's some other questions that I wanted to cover. Okay, well, awesome. Then I'm actually going to cover a feature now. So these two features that we last talked about are things that are in progress and are going to be coming in hopefully the near future. And one other thing I wanted to cover is something that's live right now. So I'm going to share my screen and get into some improvements that we have made to our self-service portal. So let me share my screen. Awesome. So for those of you who have been attending these meetings attending these webinars, you'll know that a lot of feedback we got on the self-service portal when we released it was that customers were essentially not able to log in because they didn't know their email, they didn't know their order number or their zip code. So for this specific order. So what we've done is added a new way to log in that I believe should solve a majority of the problems that customers have with logging in. So whereas in the past you had to essentially just remember information, now the way you can log in is either using a one-time code. So for example, you can plug in your SMS. I'll plug in mine and I send that code. So now I've just received a text message. Oops. Sorry, let me plug in this text message number. And I plug in that code and I can log right in. So what that's really going to do is open up this, essentially open up this self-service to everybody. Whereas in the past, you kind of had to remember the specific code. You now can immediately get into that. You can immediately get access regarding, whether or not people are actually accessing, whether or not they remember their information. Allison asked about self-service statistics. So I can tell you that we are working right now on the self-service statistics improvement. So we're working essentially on a large-scale automation statistics page. And that will be coming absolutely and have a lot more, give you guys a lot more insight into, the power of the self-service, how many people are using it, et cetera, et cetera. There's also one other thing that's very, very important now. Lily asked, when will this be available? If you're talking about the passcode login, that's actually live right now. All of this is live right now. And one thing that's also very cool is you can log out, which is something you couldn't do in the past. So for example, if I plug in and search for and log into, a email or phone number that I don't have the correct order associated with, I can click this button right here and it logs me out, and I can come back and do it again. So that's another piece of feedback we got from you guys in these actual product webinars that we put into production. So I think this is going to really open up a lot of opportunities for customers to use the self-service and deflect tickets. The other thing, so if they don't have a number available, the other thing you can do is it's the same thing with the email as well. So for example, if I plug in my email and I click send, it'll send me that code via email as well. So it's not just phone, it's email as well. So in Shopify, they have to give either an email or a phone or both. So you will be able to essentially log in if you have given either of these options. Let's see. Colin asks, could there be confusion about customers thinking they are signed into their account for the actual company? Theoretically, I suppose there could be, but what's nice, maybe we can change, for example, like we can make it less like a login and more honestly like a back option. But if they think they're logged in, they can always see up here, right, if they're logged in or not. So this is just a way to essentially get into this is just a way to log into the software if you're not logged in via your actual account.
Yeah, and something to mention on this one is if you think about the login of Shopify versus the login of the self-service, it's essentially the same thing, because say you're on Amazon, you're going to log in and then you can have the list of your orders and you can take a bunch of actions. So the thing is, like, Shopify order management page right now is pretty bare bones. You see the list of your orders, but there's not a whole lot of integrations with other tools. So what we're trying to do with the self-service is first on the chat to offer you guys with the option to provide your customers a way to self-serve. And then we're going to do the same in this help center that's also coming up in the coming weeks. So there's going to be self-serve through chat, self-serve through help center, and this is the way we're thinking about it. Maybe long term we'll see how we can merge with the Shopify order management page. I'd be curious to know if anybody has stats on like how often this is being used by your own customers. It sounds like it's not that much, but yeah, always curious to know about that. But I wouldn't worry too much about it. It sounds like right now all of your customers are going through support and not so much through the My account on Shopify. So yeah, something we keep it on the back burner and we'll think about it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to cover just on the self-service side are some improvements that are coming later in the quarter, because these are a couple things that we've heard a lot from you guys. So one thing I wanted to cover is some automation add-ons that we're working on. So in short, we're thinking about adding a more automation-focused package, and with that, there are going to be at least 2 of these features available. So the first one will be this carrier status. So carrier status, the idea is that we want to enrich our self-service data by integrating with customers platforms like AfterShip and Shippo. We want to pull in things like updated times, location of packages, ETAs, and essentially provide more data on the tracking side to deflect these tickets that aren't necessarily covered by just your general Shopify status. Over time, so that's sort of like the V1, right? It's just an integration, but later we want to bring that data.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just quick, because you're showing SF Bicycle. Were you intending to share the Gorgias admin by chance?
Sorry, share the Gorgias.
Oh, I was just wondering if do you intend to share sfbicycles.myshopify.com or another page?
We don't we don't have any screenshots for.
Okay, sorry.
Status.
No
worries. Yeah, no worries. It's just a placeholder till we move on to something we have some better screenshots for. But in short, we want to pull more of this data for you guys and make this information more readily available and essentially assist in this self-service coverage. The reason being that tracking right now accounts for up to 30% of tickets, but you can only automate so many of those with the data you have in Shopify. The reason being that there are weird use cases, packages getting stuck or packages getting stuck places, trying to figure out ETAs, knowing when a package is going to get there. And a lot of that information is actually contained in the carriers. So we want to try to bring that information in and eventually even have that information internal in the platform. So not even needing to buy, pay for Shippo or after ship, and rather us having that information within our platform, something that you can pay for yourself. So we're really, really working on pulling that information in, and that's going to sort of be the next step on the tracking flow. The other flow that we're going to add a lot of customization for is the report issue. So for right now, we have essentially a set of report issue options, but we're going to bring more customization to those options. So the screen you see here is what we're planning on bringing out to create custom issues. So you'll be able to essentially use conditions. So conditions based on the fulfillment status, the payment status of the order, the general order status, and essentially say when these conditions, when some of these conditions are there, show this message. So what that means is you're able to hyper localize or hyper customize these order issues to show up specifically given a set of conditions. So for example, what does that mean in practice? So for example, something you could do, if an order has been canceled, you can have a set of specific issues that show up that allow them to provide you with more information to deal with that customer and assist with them. So if an order is canceled, a customer could see things like, order issue, I ordered the wrong thing, it was taking too long to ship, all these sort of things that are common issues, which will assist you guys in one, dealing with order issues, and two, grabbing more information from your customers to improve your support and fulfillment strategies. All righty, and that is it from the features part. What we should
one last cherry on the cake is we released DKIM support for emails. I think it was yesterday. Yep. So now you can, or it's going to be this weekend, by Friday. Yeah. So it's going to increase your email deliverability. So if that's something that you've been having issues in the past, you can add additional records to your domain, and that's going to improve your deliverability. So something to think about if you have very high volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who don't know what DKIM verification is, it's essentially a way to, as Romain said, improve your deliverability and essentially verify that we can send emails through your email provider. So no longer will customers see, that via Gorgias.io. It's a way to really just improve the experience for the customer and the deliverability of the emails. So for those of you who've had deliverability issues or don't like to have that little via XYZ, this is a great way to really tighten up that support side and make that email integration work just a little bit better. All righty. So Romain, do you want to cover some of these questions?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, for sure. Looks like Thomas has been helping us out pretty well and covered most of the question. So let's see. Hey, when the whole team has to step away and plan during business hours, we'd like to have a way to show we are away in the chat instead of using an auto reply. Unplanned, quick. I see lots of votes. Is there a way to set this up? So not just yet. If you were to all step away, the chat is going to turn orange, and so that will show that you're not available. So Melissa, if you can tell us on the chat if that's something that you've given a try to. Curious to know if that works well for you. I see you're typing perfect, or if we should think about doing something else. So just let us know, but essentially the chat shows you if you're available. In that case, it's green, and if not, it turns orange.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have lots of people typing. Let's just see. Okay, so I'll have a look. The last time I checked, we could see avatars, and it was still "we're here to help." Yeah, so the message is the same. The only thing that changes is the little label, the circle that goes from green to orange. So that's something that we could do, is make it more obvious. I think that's good feedback. So we'll take this away. Yeah, it's not obvious enough. Okay, that's the feedback. Okay, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's really
Please
helpful.
vote if you agree. That helps us prioritize.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a potential solution could be something like just changing the message when all customers go away, changing that header message. But I think that's absolutely something we can look into.
All right, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, let me grab it. All righty. So let's cover Miriam's question. Is it possible to see when a customer is typing in the chat? So this is something that I know we've talked about a bit in the past. And now that we have sort of a full team working on the chat side, it's something that we absolutely are looking into. I think the question really is going to be a question of when rather than if. And so the more that you guys can submit this into our product feedback board, the more it's easier for us to essentially bring it to the top. I know this is a feature that people definitely ask for. So the more you guys can submit that, the better. So I would say, yes, it's definitely going to happen. The question is when. And right now we don't have it set for the coming quarter, as far as I know, but that doesn't mean it can't be pushed if it's a highly requested feature.
Yeah, and on this topic, when the agent is typing, the customer can see it. So just FYI, it works one way, not the other way around. I don't know if there are some GDPR concerns around that, something to look into as well, but good feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's see if we have one or two left. Zach, you want to take this one? Embedded links and videos in chat. I know we scoped it, but I don't know what's the exact status.
Yeah, I know that this is something we are working on right now. So embedding videos in chat is the first, it's essentially the first step in a larger video project that the chat team is working on. So the V1 of this, the V1 I think is to be able to embed videos into the chat. The V2 will eventually, like the long-term plan is actually to bring video into the chat. That's kind of a growing popular framework. As far as I know, I believe the V1 is scoped for this quarter, but maybe Thomas, you can keep me honest if that's no longer the case. But for right now, as far as I know, embedded videos should be coming this quarter.
It looks like it's a stretch for this quarter, so it means that if we have enough time, we'll do it. Yeah, Thomas is saying no. So yeah, maybe a bonus this quarter, but probably Q4.
Yeah, probably a Q4. All right. Be possible to have. Let's pull this up.
Any other question? Being able, so we have a question from Emma, being able to have a view where I can see what agents are showing available at any given time. So that should be the new stats, right?
Yeah, so this is the V2 of the new stats. So what is coming very soon are live stats. These are essentially a set of statistics that are more focused on your day-to-day overview of agents. So in that, you're going to be able to see like availability time, what a customer has, or what an agent has done throughout a given day. So for example, what are the number of tickets they've closed, messages they've sent, how long they've been online over a given day. And that will also extend to, there'll also be a place for you to manage all of your unassigned or open tickets and keep an eye on what customers are doing. The V2, which is planned for afterwards, after that V1 is released, is to actually do exactly this, which is see what agents are, or sorry, I apologize. I totally misread this question. Yes, this is coming in the V1. You'll be able to see what agents are available at a given time. The V2 that I was speaking about is an actual place to see what your agents are doing in that given second. So are they on a ticket? Are they on a call? Are they on a statistics page? So that V2 is kind of an even higher oversight page that will be coming. But just seeing who's available online at a given time, that's coming in this V1 of the live stats.
All right. So I think we had one about the chat.
Yes, there's one. One second. Let me. So would it be possible to have the option to have one agent join a chat as another agent and take over the chat with no visible change in agent on the customer side? Smoother handoff with breaks, lunches, etc. So I would be curious to hear, I guess I would be curious to hear what you, what the concern is in terms of that handoff. So are you just talking about having an agent, having essentially one agent replace another, but not change who the agent is? Because right now you can have multiple agents respond in a chat at the same time. They'll just show up as different agents. So could you give me a little more info on that?
I think I can take it. It's
Okay.
so there is this, but there's also a mode where you say, hey, I want to have the company name show up at the top of the chat, and then every time somebody responds, it shows up as company name replied X. And so this is what you want so this way you just reassign the ticket to another agent, and then the second agent would just reply, but the customer is not going to see it. So that's something that we don't show in the ticket itself. So you would see the name of the agent who send the message, but the customer is going to see company send the message. So the way to go to do this is you go to your chat settings, and then you change the center. Instead of agent names, you use the company avatar, and that's going to apply to both the header and the messages.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. So Jason asked for Instagram comments. When will it be available for us to respond to comments with media? That is a good question. So right now, what we are working on is essentially improving. Instagram is opening up that ability to respond with media basically right now on the DM side. As far as on the Instagram side, comment side, it should actually be available. Oh, did I just cut out there?
You're still there, yeah. All good.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. So as far as I know, on the Instagram comment side, you should be able to respond with media as long as you're not in the EU or your customer's not in the EU. That's a specific requirement that they have right now, but are going to essentially get rid of over time. The reason being that they're just with the GDPR and European privacy laws, Instagram has to kind of be hyper specific. So if that ability is not available to you, it should be coming available to you when they drop that requirement, which should be relatively soon.
All right. So Chris is asking, is it possible to create a page in the docs where Gorgias users share their most common macros and rules? So so right now our help docs are static, and we use a company called Help Docs to build it. So we could do some analysis and put it here, but it wouldn't be live. So the way we are thinking about this is actually pretty interesting. So we want to build a rule library where there would be a bunch of templates, and you could self-serve from the library and then copy that to your account. There's no ETA just yet on it, but that's a project we've been working on. And then the other one regarding common macros is a bit similar. So one of the things our team is looking at is to proactively suggest macros. So for example, if your account is missing an exchange macro, we'll be able to spot that and then suggest to add it. And you probably saw we added in the reply area, we added some suggested macros. So the goal being to make sure that you have the right macros so you can use them as often as possible and then customize them if need be to minimize your response time to customers. I'll do this one real quick. Set up avatars and bio for agents accounts. So it's actually already possible. You can go in your profile and then you have a bio field, and you can use this bio field as a variable in the signature. So if you want to use that in your email signature, it's definitely possible. And then the picture, same story. Each agent can upload their own picture. So let me know, Benjamin, if I missed anything. But yeah, that's possible through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. I'm going to add. So Derek asked about forecasting for future staffing needs in statistics. So this is actually something we looked into on the live stats page, and is going to likely be a later iteration of the live stats. Essentially, the way we've planned it out is we have this V1 that we kind of spoke about briefly, which is going to cover just agent availability, like open tickets, just giving you a sort of basic overview of what your agents are up to. V2 builds on top of that, which adds, what specific agents are doing at any given time and how long they've been doing it for. And then that V3 starts to move into more predictive. That sort of V3 builds onto that live stats and pulls into more sort of predictive metrics. So it's going to be looking at, how many agents are working, what's their efficiency, how many agents you're going to need given, the expected increase in tickets. So in short, that is very much the focus, I think, of the V3 and V4 of this project, which still needs to be scoped, but it is something that's on our radar and considered an important goal for the statistics side.
Yeah, and one thing to add on this is we've been working on building an app store, so a Gorgias app store where third-party developers could build applications. And these like QA and staffing use cases are definitely something that could be done through the app store. So yeah, at some point, I think we have something like 25 to 50 apps right now, or that are in the pipe. So as we get to more apps, that's a need that could be covered through third party.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So Rachel asked about a Pinterest integration. That's an interesting integration, one that I haven't actually heard. I haven't actually gotten a ton of requests for. I would love to hear a little bit more about how you use Pinterest. I'd love to hear if this is a big kind of, area of interest for a lot of you guys, because what we have been hearing more and more, especially, is TikTok, but Pinterest is a social media platform that I haven't actually heard a ton of feedback for. So I'd love to kind of gauge the room and see what you guys are thinking, how important that is as a tool, or if it's kind of a niche integration. All right, let's see.
You want to see if you get a response, mostly for DMs. We can do outreach there for people that we pin.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, when you were saying Pinterest integration, you're primarily focused on the DM side. That's really interesting. It's something I can definitely look into. I'll have to do a little bit more analysis into kind of the Pinterest market and see how popular it is. But it's definitely an interesting area, and if the volume is there, it's absolutely something we can look into.
Yeah, plus one for the App Store. That sounds something that could be built by a third-party developer if they need it.
Yeah, that's a great point. That doesn't need to be built internally.
There's maybe a last one is Imran, who's asking, sometimes there are some placeholders in the macros, and that would be nice to have some visual cues to know that the agent needs to replace the placeholder. So Imran, if you're on the chat, the best scenario is where the agent doesn't have to do anything and we have a bunch of variables that populate. So I'd be curious to explore that route. I know it's not always possible, but if it is, that's always better. So just curious to know, like, if you can give us like 2 or 3 examples of what those variables would be, and that'd be valuable for us to understand the problem better. I know that some help desk, they have something where you click on the macro and then you have an input where you need to fill all of the input, the fields to then be able to apply the macro. So yeah, curious to know. Okay, so Anna is saying maybe a discount code that changes over time or with the context of the tickets. Good to know. Yeah, something that could be done is that you have granular macros with discount code for returns, discount code for, I don't know, like broken, damaged item, and so forth. But I understand that sometimes you might need to generate the discount code for one particular customer. If that's the case, so one thing we could do is have an action in the sidebar that would generate a one-time discount code. If that's a big use case. Obviously, right now we focused on the most common tickets, which are where's my order, exchanges, those kind of things. But yeah, very good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that discount code generation, that is something that we're looking at on like the kind of more on the Shopify side. So it is definitely something that we're looking at and something we can build into as well. But I think broadly, just as a general goal of Gorgias, rather than kind of having these macros that you guys are doing by hand and changing by hand every time, the goal is we want to be able to pull more and more of that data in to the point that there are fewer and fewer of those instances, right? The idea is we want to build our macros long term to really cover the point that you can just click and send, and eventually, hopefully, not even need to click at all. That's I think the larger kind of company goal.
Maybe one thing we could do is similar to Gmail, Zach, when you attach something on Gmail and please find it attached and you forget to send the attachment.
Yeah.
They have something, I think, that says, are you sure you want to send it? There's no attachment. So we could have something that says, if there are still some curly braces in the text, say, hey, are you sure we replaced all of them?
Yeah.
I don't know how big of a thing it would be. I see, Brittany's saying that'd be helpful. That's something to figure out is like, is that something we built just for a couple of people, or if it's more like 100 or 1,000?
Yeah. So for those of you who do find this to be valuable, please let us know. Again, add it as feedback into the product board, which I can actually probably push as a good thing to throw here. But yeah, we would love to hear a little bit more. I think at the end of the day, we're just trying to get as much feedback as we can to make the right decision. So the more we can hear from you guys on these kind of things, the better. So I'm going to make a quick shameless plug for the product board.
In the meantime, we have 5 other questions that just arrived, and we have 3 minutes left before the end of the webinar. So if you want, Zach, we can step up to the challenge of responding to 5 questions within 3 minutes.
Let's do it. All right.
You want to start?
Yeah. All right. So some changes planned in design of the chat. When self-service choices are displayed, there's a huge blank space in all the height of the widget and only a small button to start the conversation. So I know that this is actually some UI changes, some UI fixes that we have made. I'd be curious to know if this is still, if this is still an issue for you guys, or if you've seen, some of the UI changes that we've made recently. I do know that the height of the widget can be a little bit large, especially in different screens, but we are working on UI improvements for the chat that should cover these. So there are definitely changes planned. We've already implemented some and are working more and more, especially on the larger or different size screens, to implement some UI fixes. So there's issues for those, and they will be fixed as soon as we can. Alrighty.
Cool. Next, on the coupon code, is there a way to add email sign up into Gorgias chat? So to get people on the chat to be added to a Klaviyo list. Yes, so that's the point of the Klaviyo integration. So you can connect Gorgias to Klaviyo, and then when you can create some logic in Klaviyo that says when a ticket is created where the channel is chat, then add to list, and then you'll get exactly that. There might be some concerns around GDPR if you're in Europe, or if you have some European customer, because you need to get their consent unless you use the list just for tracking purposes. So yeah, some definitely doable.
Absolutely. Alrighty, I'll take the next one. All righty. Yeah, this isn't okay. So can you explain what is the logic with which intents recognizes the ticket intention? I'm worried that it won't work for LATAM because of the Spanish translation. So yeah, this is an interesting question. So without getting into too much depth, we are currently, essentially we have a machine learning team that is training an algorithm to detect ticket intentions. And so what we have is essentially a base algorithm that says these certain tickets, when this language is here, then it means this intent. When this language is here, it means this intent. That does cover translated a lot of different languages. I believe we do cover Spanish already. But the other thing is you can train that algorithm yourself using your macros. So if you have macros that are set to a specific intent, the way you can do that is go into the actual macro settings, click the specific macro, and actually I can share my screen. Sorry, 1 second. Let me get my screen up. But maybe, sorry, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna, we don't have a ton of time, so I won't do it. But in short, you can essentially train it yourself. It should cover Spanish translations. And if it does not, just know our team is kind of constantly working. If it's not covering the specific translations you want, we have an ML team that's constantly building on this and training it with more and more data. So we are working on that intent recognition sort of as we speak. Alrighty.
All right. So I'll cover the last few. Can you translate Gorgias to Japanese? Right now you can't. I mean, if you really want to go hardcore, you can use Google Translate in the browser on Chrome to do that. So technically, there's a hacky way to do it. There's probably a bunch of Chrome extension that can do it automatically as well. But internationalization is not something that we're going to do in the very short term. So maybe like 2022 would be the timeline. Maybe a year after that. I don't have a strong commit on this one, but right now English is the focus. So sorry, not for now, but at some point in the future. HTML formatting. So HTML can be a mess because we have 78% of our tickets are email. And so email, everybody has different email tools. And so when they get something in HTML that goes in Gmail, it might render differently in Outlook and then in some other email clients. So we intentionally don't go too much into HTML. But if you have a very strong need, we could add some basic bullet points. So make sure you +1 that on the roadmap, and we'll look into that. But so far, we've survived 3-4 years without too much complexity, and ideally, we want to keep that simple enough. The other thing is we want to make those responses sound very genuine. And so, like when a friend emails you, like they're not going to send you tables in HTML. I'm guessing you want something simpler. Yeah, you want this to sound as friendly as possible. So yeah. And last one is better organization of macros. Pinning macros would be helpful. So right now, our goal is to make sure you don't have to pin macros and instead to suggest the right macro. So give us a bit of time so that we can learn from that and see if it's good enough, see what we can improve. Ideally, we remove the need to pin macros and the right macro is just there because we have good algorithms. So yeah, give us a couple of months to get better at that. And if we don't get better, please bring that up again and we'll look into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I think we should call it. We're a little bit over, but thank you guys so much for joining. And thank you, Thomas, for responding to all those questions. Thanks, obviously, to Romain for spending some of his precious time with us on this chat. And thank you guys.
Zach, as well. Your time is as precious, maybe even more.
Well, that's kind. But yeah, thank you guys so much, everyone. And I hope to see everyone at the next one. Yeah, please do not hesitate to join us and give feedback again. One last shameless plug. We have our Facebook community that I want to just plug really quick. And Give me 1 second to just upload this. Sorry. So we have our Facebook group.
Oh, sorry. And while you do that, I think we have Zach and I have a personal challenge to get to 300 people on this webinar. I think we're making progress month after month. But yeah, if you guys want to join the next one, like we really enjoy those. It's a great way to get immediate feedback about the product, hear what's good, what's bad. So yeah, please keep joining us for those webinars. We love hanging out with you guys. And I think we build software in using our computer from the office or from home. So it's really good to get those opportunities to have direct interactions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All righty. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Zach. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.